Past couple months at New Life, I have been preaching through the New Testament book of 1 Corinthians, and this Sunday I'm up to 1 Corinthians 13, which is the famous chapter on love. And I've been going through one characteristic of love at a time during this video series. I talked about how love is patient, love is kind, and it does not envy. And today I wanted to talk about how love does not boast and it is not proud. The next two characteristics are pretty identical. Love does not boast and it is not proud. The word for proud in the Greek is also a word that means to be puffed up, to be conceited, to be arrogant. All of these words are words about drawing attention to yourself. You boast because you want people to praise you. You puff yourself up and become arrogant because you want people to notice you, to think highly of you, to applaud you, to approve of you. Why do you want people to give you that kind of honor and approval and applause? Usually we do that because we're not sure that we are worthy of applause. We're not sure we're worthy of approval. We're not sure that we're worthy of love. And so we boast, we puff ourselves up to get others to notice us, to applaud us, to approve of us, to love us. So if we're going to become people who love in a way that is not boastful or arrogant, then we need somehow to know that we are loved and that we are worth something. So how do you know that you're loved? How do you know that you are worth something? How do you know your value? There's two verses that come to mind for me from the Bible. The first is Romans chapter 5, verse 8, where Paul writes that God demonstrates his own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Paul's saying that it was when we were at our worst, when we were rebels against the holy God, that Jesus died for us. It wasn't when we were at our best. It was when we were at our worst. We know we're loved. We know we're of value because God gave his son, his best, to die for us, even when we didn't deserve it. And I think of Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2, where the writer of Hebrews tells us to fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross. And the joy that was set before him it wasn't heaven. He already had heaven. It wasn't God. He already had God. The joy set before him, the only thing that he didn't have was you. It was me. It was us. It was restoring us to a right relationship with God. That was the joy that was set before him that allowed him to endure the cross. That's how much you are loved. That's how much you are worth to the God of the universe. I know that I am loved. I know that I am worth so much, not because of anything I've done or haven't done, but because God gave his son to die for me. That's how I know how much I'm worth. That's how I know that I'm loved. And so you know what that does for my ego? You know what that does for your ego? If you understand and embrace that, it meets your need for love and approval. You don't need to boast. You don't need to puff yourself up anymore because you already have the approval of the one whose opinion matters the most. You don't need to draw any attention to yourself anymore. Instead, you can be the opposite of boastful and arrogant and proud. You can be humble. I've heard humility defined as not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. It's not thinking less of yourself that somehow you're scum or something. It's thinking of yourself less, that you don't need to draw attention to yourself. You can focus on others and love others. When you're humble, it means that you can love, you can listen, you can serve, you can give without needing to be complimented, without needing to be approved of, without needing the applause of others. You know you're worth so much. You know you're loved, and so you can love the way that God has loved you.